Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Good evening. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. And we are back with another game where Rotherham United have won. It's getting ridiculous now. Every time we do this, we're going to win another game. It's just ridiculous. But a good ridiculous. A very, very good ridiculous. So we've got that to go through. And, well, that's enough in it. Mick and Danny are with us. Thank you for joining us, boys.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
As we tease on Twitter, we will be announcing later on in the show which Rotherham player we will be speaking to this week. We're going to want you guys' input. We want to know your questions for the player in question. We'll do that in half an hour or so, mate.
Well, wait a minute. I don't mind. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Keep people waiting. They might listen a bit longer.
Up to half an hour. You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah. So we'll do that. I hope everybody's doing all right. It was 1,100 of you went down to Cambridge, the Abbey Stadium. It's still called the Abbey Stadium, or have they got a sponsor for it?
I've called it the Abbey Stadium in the vlog, so I hope I'm right.
That's good enough for me. And yeah, a win's a win, a win is a win. Not a classic, certainly the first 45 minutes, but a good, decent enough performance and just about worthy enough for a win, Danny. Do you think just about worthy enough for 3 points?
Yeah, I'd say we probably just about edged it. I think, like you say, first half we're pretty much even. And then the second half, we probably just sneaked it in the second half. I mean, obviously we did because we scored and they didn't. But in terms of chances created, I'd say we just nudged it second half. So I think 1-0 is probably a fair result, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Before we get into specifics, Mick, Paul once had suggested that they are the toughest opponent we've had so far this season. And bearing in mind, we've played everybody but Accrington and Shrewsbury, although we have played Accrington Cup. I tend to agree with them. I think they're very organised, they're very solid. They are missing a striker or a creative influence in the final third. But there's a lot to admire about them, really.
Yeah, very much so. I think we said this after the first game at New York, didn't we? That they were probably one of the best sides we've played all season, or most difficult sides to play all season, and they proved that again on Saturday. And they were missing their talisman, really, Hurahan. So yeah, they're a difficult side, and why they're only 16th is a little bit beyond me. But because we are sat where we are, teams do tend to raise the game. You know, you remember, you know, when we played previously for top at league, you always tend to raise your game that little bit. So everybody wants to knock you off your perch, don't they? So, but yeah, they're a good side. There's no question about that. And they aren't going to be. I can't see how they're going to be in any trouble this season unless they have a massive drop in form.
Yeah, no, they'll be fine. I would certainly have thought. A couple of people already with us on the chats. Harvey Kelwick, evening. Philip Bronson, evening, chaps. When does Mick start on Trevor Kettle? Now, I teased half an hour's time. I might tease that one. Now, let's talk about Trevor Kettle, Mick, before we talk about the footballing side of things. There's plenty of small incidents which were really frustrating. There's only one big incident to talk about, which, when it's Trevor Kettle, there's only one big incident. That's quite good. That's a step in the right direction for Trevor Kettle, to be fair, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, let's be fair. If it were anybody else other than Trevor Kettle, you'd be saying referee had a decent game, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
But it was Trevor Kettle, so we don't say that because that's just.
I mean, he still gave some baffling soft fouls and fouls one way rather than other.
Yeah, I mean, I assume the incident you're alluding to was in the second half when we had the ball and then he took it off us and gave it to their goalkeeper.
When their play went down.
Yeah, somewhat Michael Massey-esque, that, weren't it? I'll get that in straight away.
4 minutes, 45 seconds for every account of you, Michael Massey mentioned.
But essentially, that's what he's doing, isn't it? You know, he's taking ball off us in front of goal and give it to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in sort of relative terms, bearing in mind we're talking about Trevor Kettle, he didn't have too bad a game by his standard, which is pretty goddamn low, isn't it?
So the incident we're referring to was just on the stroke of half time. The ball was played through questionable defending where our defence had gone to, but it didn't result in a goal. But it resulted in a couple of heavy touches and a heavy challenge, shall we call it, on Victor. Now, when I first saw it, Danny, and when I subsequently seen it on replays, I was convinced it was a red card. It looked a red card all day long. Watching Danny's matchday vlog, I'm not convinced it is a red card. I think he might have got it right.
Yeah, I mean, in the heat of the moment, I thought it was a red card as well, but we're sort of used to that thing with Victor. You know, he comes flying in to get the ball, he makes some sort of contact and ends up with his eye socket halfway down touchline. But yeah, in the heat of the moment, it looks like a red card because I think it was Sam. I think he's called Sam Smith, there, number 10. He comes in for the ball and he has left his mark on Victor, as they've said on Twitter afterwards. He's been left with studs on his chest and his stomach. But if you really slow down the match footage, which someone has done on Twitter, he just gets the ball before Victor, but it is the momentum and the follow through that gets him. So I think there is an argument to say it is a red card because of, dangerous play and his studs are up and such. But I think an experienced referee would give it as a yellow card. So I do. And the best thing is he consulted his linesman. He didn't just go with his own gut. He went, "You're in better position. What did you see?" And so the linesman's obviously seen the contact with the ball, and that's why it's a yellow card. Granted, we feel a bit hard done by because Victor obviously never gets those challenges and never will now. But yeah, I do think he's got it right. After reviewing it and settling down without alcohol influencing my decision, I would say it is probably a yellow card.
Yeah. Do you think, Mick, Danny's right? I think the linos give it a decision. But do you think that Trevor Kettle went to a check with the lino, or the linos stepped in and gone, right, Trevor Kettle's referee here. I've got to sort him out. I've got to give. It's like helping your elderly grandparent across the road type thing. I've got to make sure he's going to be all right here. That's more likely, isn't it?
Possibly. I don't think he ever intended giving. Probably didn't even intend giving a card, to be honest.
That's what I mean. He helped him get the right decision.
I'm trying to be as fair and balanced as I possibly can, and like Danny's just said, he has at least gone over and spoken to the linesman. Whether the linesman's asked him to come and speak to him or what, I don't know. However, he has gone over and spoken to him. He's taken his time. He's made a decision. You can't really argue with that, I don't think, anyway. I feel really, really bad, actually, almost praising Kettle. But he's done the right thing. And he's probably looking at it, like Danny says, with a sort of 24 hours worth of hindsight and at the heat of the game, he's probably made the right call, which, again, I find baffling. Utterly baffling.
Yeah.
Mind you, though, him and Lino did have a disagreement later on when the ball was quite clearly out for our throwing and Kettle overruled the lines and went, "No, it's Cambridge's." It's like, me. Did you not see it come off his toe? Anyway, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. All things considered, bearing in mind it was Trevor Kettle, everything went quite all right.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. That's not saying he were good. Better than expected.
It just weren't bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I suppose what you could say is he did not referee to his usual standards.
That's probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he still made some baffling decisions like the one Danny's mentioned. There was some. It was still a bad referee performance.
Yeah.
But it was good on Trevor Kettle's spectrum of a referee performance.
Yeah. We'll go with that one. Talking about Rotherham United, we're talking about Rotherham United rather than referee for a bit. So there were no changes, I think. Is that the same starting 11 that came in? Or Chio came in for Sadler, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was the change from last week. So no real issues there, as expected. Plus, because Miller was injured, so he couldn't have come in. So it was unexpected. It was a flat start, mate. It was not one for any purists that first 45 minutes. It was very scrappy, very stop-start, flat.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of a similar performance to the ones we've put in over the last few games. Really, the intensity's not been there. The intensity of the press and everything else, and that ability that we've had to keep the ball wasn't there either. We were giving it away cheaply, but again, is this because teams have kind of worked out the way that the way that we're playing, and it's teams counteracting the way we play rather than us not performing to the levels that we have done. I don't know I don't know. I suspect it's probably us not performing to the level rather than other teams. But Cambridge knew what they were doing. They were well set up, they were well drilled, and they knew exactly what their jobs were. And that's probably one of the main contributory factors for that first half performance. But we came out second half a different team. So the first few minutes, anyway.
Yeah, we certainly did. Like you mentioned earlier, Dan, it was probably a 50-50 half. Credit, I suppose, goes to Freddie. I think Freddie was one of them. He made himself a nuisance, and there was a couple of chances he had which he maybe should have done better. But again, we're heaping praise on Freddie, and again, he's really good. Look, he didn't set the world alight, but he's doing the right things again. And on another day, he gets his goal in the second half, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it is down to him being a more pressing striker rather than being a lurker on the 6-yard box. I mean, one of his main opportunities, all right, fair enough, it has come from on the 6-yard box, but the harassment he's made in terms of competing with the defenders has got him in that position. And unfortunately, it's a quality save from their keeper that's denied him. And then later on, he plays an absolute perler of a pass to Ferguson on the left-hand side, a quick back heel, and Ferguson's away down the wing. Unfortunately, he doesn't come to anything, but it just goes to show Freddie's confidence levels have gone up to be able to try something like that. But also his ability as a striker to press defenders and try and win the ball back. It's an ability we haven't seen much of before this season. But now he's doing it like he's been doing it for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
granted, he has his odd moment where he sort of forgets himself, but it's his harassment of the defenders that makes them make mistakes, which is great to see, and it's a benefit to us as well. And when the day comes that Freddie wins the ball back and then gets a chance on goal and scores, that's when the whole high press thing has worked perfectly.
Yeah,
and it'll probably come at some point in the new year. I hope, anyway.
Yeah, I hope it does as well. Definitely. So impressed with Freddie over the last couple of months. So happy for him, and so happy for us that we've got that type of player, because what we've been crying out for. Chio was a little bit of a barometer of how we were playing, Mick. Chio on the right hand side, I thought he had a very, very quiet first half. It was much like the rest of the 11. They weren't bad. They were just a bit flat and a bit meh in the first half.
Yeah.
But then he just came to life in the second half, culminating in a fantastic run for the goal. And we'll talk about Barlaser in a minute, but Chio's done so well for that goal. He made the goal, and let's be right about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's run 80 yards and beat I don't know how many players in process, including the foul that he just stepped over. And another player on another day would have gone down in centre circle, and
a lot would, wouldn't they? A high percentage of professional footballers would have gone down, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah, and that would have obviously been an issue. So yeah, I mean, it was a great run. Nobody's going to catch him, nobody's going to beat him for pace. And once you let him run at you to that extent, you know that you're in trouble. And yet, when he gets to the 18-yard box, there's still 5 or 6, 7 players, defenders in there, and we still managed to carve an opening out of it. But it was a hell of a run.
Yeah, he had a really, really good second half. He really
yeah. Well, let's not talk too much about him. I'm beginning to see rumblings all over social media now about how dangerous he is, and these rumblings are coming from non-Rotherham United people. We don't want it. We don't need it. It's not acceptable. Let's just keep it under our hats.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Under wraps.
Chio's crap. I don't know why everybody keeps banging on about him. He's absolute rubbish.
Somebody else who's crap. Dan Barley.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He's rubbish and all. That's why everybody keeps going on about him.
For me, Danny was one of the few that had a solid first half, but then stepped up properly in the second half. And the goal, talk about the goal itself, it was a bit like the indirect free kick where he sort of took his time. He worked out where we were going to put it. When the ball came to it, I was screaming, "Hit it!" First time, just hit it. which would have been the wrong thing to do. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's calm and composed, and he's getting better every week. He's scoring different types of goals. We're just lucky to have that guy in this division. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've heard. Well, I was talking to one of my friends on the away days, Michelle, and she says if the criteria for goal of the season in the minds of the experts was different, it's contender for goal of the season. No, because normally they do, your screamers and your Barcelona sort of tiki-taka sort of goals, but the build-up and the finish in that goal, it does have its argument because, like we've already mentioned, the run from Chio, but it's the placement from Barley's that does it for me. That because he's got the ball from Smith, he's looked, he's seen the space to the keeper's left and just gone, think it's in. And I'm with you. If you watch my vlog, I just scream, "Hit it!" And so I'm fully taking the assist from the stands by telling Barlaser to hit it, and it's gone in. I'm fully taking that. But yeah, like you say, I think he like the whole squad really. It was an okay first half for him, like nothing bad but nothing exceptional. But then in the second half, he stepped up. If he lost the possession, he'd win it more or less straight back again. He was involved in us winning possession outside our own box. He put in the initial tackle and then Chio mopped up and that was the start of the move. But I think Barley's is rubbish personally. I don't think anyone should come in for him. We call him the Jordi Pirlo, but that's just
ironic, isn't it?
It's for irony purposes. Yeah. So everyone stay away. One over there with like baseball bat going, get back, in January.
Absolutely. Well, I think Gabriel Sutton, who knows his EFL stuff, has put Barlaser in his team of the season so far for League One, which we don't want. You can stop doing that.
Absolutely.
Don't tell
Yeah.
Just think about it inside. Use your inside voice. Don't tweet out or anything like that. Yeah. Really good. We've run out of things to say about people like Barlaser and Chio and things like that, but they are getting better. They're not sort of staying at the same level. He's getting better. He's doing things now he's never done for us before. He's never scored a goal like that. I compared it to the indirect goal. That was different circumstances. This is a different type of goal. And fair play to Smith as well, mate. I know Smith's not getting the goals he wants, but he's still working very, very hard. And he took his time. He did the same as Barlaser. He took his time, picked out what the right pass was.
Yeah.
And off we go. And another assist for Smith. Again, he's somebody else who deserves a massive amount of credit for the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not ticking at the moment. It's not ticking for him in front of goal, but he's still there and he's still involved and he's still causing problems. It's more on Freddie at the moment. He's the lad that you're expecting to score the goals, but then Dan Barlaser pops up and chips in with a few, and Ben Wiles has as well. So, but yeah, kudos for Smithy really, because he could have turned and tried to blast it into top corner, but he didn't. Took his time, calm and cool, and Dan Barlaser, he just caressed that into back at net. Yeah. It was just like a thing of beauty really, and it doesn't look it like Danny said. Yeah, sorry. Like Danny said, it's not a 20-yard screamer, but nevertheless, the ability that it takes to find the time, to see where you're going to put it, and then to put it there so calmly and coolly, with not a massive amount of pace on it. It's just it's some talent that it's some talent.
It's one of those funny ones because the keeper didn't even move, and you only normally see that when it is a thunderbolt. You know what I mean? When it's gone past him, but the keeper, he just wrong-footed the keeper. That's how well placed it was. The keeper's not even tried because he's not getting anywhere near it. That's how good it is. If you're making the keeper not dive for it, it's almost certainly a really, really good effort.
I mean, he's wrong-footed keeper and he's wrong-footed 4 defenders. Yeah, it's because it's gone through a crowd of defenders, all of whom were going the other way.
Yeah,
it's immense, man. Honestly,
I also love his
rubbish.
Rubbish. It's garbage. Yeah,
Rubbish.
Garbage. I also love how much he loves it. You know, his celebration after the goal. He absolutely loves it, doesn't he?
He does.
Living his best life.
I'm telling you, if he scores against Accrington, he will be in the crowd with us. Because it's very easy to get into the stand at Accrington because it's actually below pitch level. I mean, unfortunately, they used to play rugby at the Abbey Stadium, so it stands a bit too far away and it's raised up. But now Barlaser loves it. The passion he's got for this football club's amazing. Same with Chio as well. Chio was celebrating the fact that he got the second assist from it and his brilliant run. But no, it's brilliant. And as well, if you watch the highlights, the limbs are decent as well. The main body of the limbs isn't on camera. But where I was, like in the top left of the stand, there were bodies just everywhere. You know, like people were over seats. It was chaos, absolute chaos. That's what you want. That's what you want on an away day, isn't it? You want a well-earned, hard-fought goal that just sends you off its seats effectively. Great thing. From the way we celebrated, you thought it were in about the 89th minute that we'd scored, but taking a goal like that, whatever the time frame.
I don't know whether you've seen the highlights, but there is just a moment, and I thought this at the time, and I thought I'm probably the only one that thought it. You can see Chio and Freddie, as they're running over to celebrate, turn and look at the referee.
And
I thought he disallowed it. I genuinely thought, just for a second, that he disallowed it. And you see their faces. And Chio sort of puts his arms out as if to say, what? And then realises he's pointed at centre circle.
Just Trevor Kell.
Well, you don't. Exactly. You know, you think, has he disallowed it? No, he can't have done, because there were not wrong with, hang on a minute, it's Trevor Kell. You know what I mean? And then you realise it. Yeah. Bizarre. Anyway.
I think it was actually to bring the medical staff on for Reg. That's why he blew his whistle.
Could have been, yeah.
But yeah, like you say, you watch Chio and Freddie's faces, and it's like, but they looked at him and thought, "Oh no, he can't have done."
Yeah. I like that mentions a word for that. We mentioned at the start, 1,100, just nearly 1,200 away fans in the circumstances really in terms of COVID, just before Christmas, a long trip. That's off to everybody. That's a great way of following, as it should be. We're top at league. I mean, we're top at league, so it should be, but it should still be mentioned. That it's great to see that amount of people in an away game. A word for his defence. Let's start with one of the most ridiculous stats I've heard so far this season. We've conceded 3 goals in 11 away games, which is just. When I actually tweeted last night, I'm like, oh my God. You know, you see these stats think, we're good us. And I see another one, oh, we are really good. Oh, we're really good here. 3 goals conceded in 11 games. In away games, Mick, that's unheard of at any level.
Yeah, it's madness, isn't it? It's absolute madness. And it's just another one, like you say, it's just another one of those stats that you think, you know what? This is a really, really good. You know what? This is a championship winning side. But you can't allow yourself to have those sorts of thoughts at Christmas, can you? Really? Because it's just, you know, we've all been there. We've all seen it happen before to other clubs. But the stats are just stacking up week on week on week. And they're just, I mean, they're not. It's not as though they're even flatlining. You know, these stats are getting better and better every week. It will have to plateau at some stage. You would have thought. Are we
that good? Are we?
But, well, yeah. I mean, never say never, because there's absolutely been at this stage, touch wood, no sign whatsoever of this dropping off. And maybe that's just because of the absolute ability of this squad and the absolute confidence of them and the management team. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable start, that, isn't it?
I think the thing that sums up our starts this season, even though we're not technically at the halfway point, is that gif of of a manager going absolutely ballistic, celebrating, and then coming back and calming himself down. That is us as a fan base at the minute.
Yeah.
Like it's brilliant to see, but because it's not this sort of form in March or April time, you just have to sort of steady yourself a little bit. It's great, and we should celebrate it, but it's still a long season ahead. We've still got 51% of the season to play. But it is fantastic. I mean, the goals we conceded are Wigan, Lincoln, and Charlton. Now, Wigan and Lincoln, you could argue that was early in the season. We're still finding ourselves. And the goal against Charlton is because it's a team that's absolutely flying at the minute. So it's not 3 bad goals to concede either. So take away the Wigan goal because, it should have been a draw that game. And we drew in 90 minutes, we'll say that. And then the Lincoln goal when we're just starting to recover and start this run that we're on, you could argue it's really like 2 sloppy goals, shall we say? In terms of in terms of like our form not being up to par or being on par with the opposition, I'd say it's only 2 conceded. And then the Wigan game, because they're just scoring added time for fun, which is really annoying because it wins them games as well. But only 3 conceded away. Like you've said, it's unheard of. That's like Liverpool and Man City sort of levels of defending.
It is.
And I think it's testament to how Woody leads the back line, the quality in Reg, and the vice captaincy of Inekwe as well that helps us through it, which is further boosted by Harding and Mattock and Bowler potentially as well, if he decides to play there, and a Dauphin as a backup when he eventually gets to come into the squad. I mean, it's just great to see. We've probably got the best defence in the league. I mean, the stats say that we have, but in terms of how all the pieces fit together, it is the best defence in the league.
The balance of it's perfect in terms of back three. It's just perfect. You got Richard Bazaria. Go on, Mick.
Well, let's just sort of note that we're playing without an established left-sided central defender.
A championship left-sided central defender in Angus.
I mean, Michael Ehekwe gets some stick at times because he has got a mistake in him, and that's because he's a centre half. He's a normal centre half. Woody and Reg at the moment, Woody and Reg at the moment are not normal centre halves because they haven't got a mistake in either of them. I shouldn't have said that, should I? That was stupid. That was stupid. And Woody's going to head through his own goal at Accrington now, but I mean that as a 3, they're absolutely outstanding. And like you say, that's without Wizarding, who's as good as any of those 3 for me. On his day, so it's fantastic. But that's why that stat is there, and having Victor or Josh Vickers behind him. What can you say? It's mad.
It is. Basil mentions a word for Woody. His mantra of head it and kick it worked a treat yesterday. John S. not on the optimist side today. It sounds like another person who didn't think we played well, placing shots gently rather than shooting. What I will say is placing shots is what got us the goal. He didn't put his foot through it, he placed it. We were the better. We created more chance. Obviously, expected goal says it. Victor had 1 shot really to save in the first half.
I think John's got a point. I mean,
I'm not saying we weren't Real Madrid, were we? But
we alluded to it at the beginning of the podcast, didn't we? When we said that we didn't really play that well, considering where we've set the bar.
For me, you can see where they've worked on different aspects in training. Because at Burton, I'd say our placement was quite poor, other than Barley's indirect free kick, because there were a lot of wayward shooting against Burton. Whereas against Cheltenham, against Cambridge, it wasn't really wayward shooting; it was still placement sort of shooting. So you can sort of see like they're just trying to bring it back level again, So you can see what they've worked on in training, and thankfully it's paid off because we did get a very well placed goal from it, rather than just trying to hit a barn door with a machine gun. We've gone for sniper rifle instead, and it's paid off.
Yeah. 100%. Philip Rawlinson mentions Reg was man of the match for me. He just gets better and better. Jamie hasn't as. Yeah, he was excellent. Injury, Danny came off injured. I haven't seen anything in the post-match. Have you seen anything?
It was his Achilles that tightened up, but apparently it's nothing serious. It's not like he's pulled a muscle and he's out for 3 or 4 weeks. He should be okay for Boxing Day, COVID considering, of course. But yeah, apparently it's nothing major. He just felt his Achilles go, and they've just taken him off as a precaution. And I tell you what, Rotherham having the ability just to take one of our best players off as a precaution and still be solid at the back. Wow, you know.
Yeah. Well, you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, we're going to take a central defender off as a precaution, and we'll just bring Wes Harding on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Quick look in the match report proceedings. We will now let you know which Rotherham player we're going to speak to this week. I'm really excited. Mick, excited? Yeah, man. I am. I am. Yeah. I can't tell you.
Shall I give everyone a clue as to who it is?
Go on then.
That's right. Yeah. It's Father Christmas.
Well, he is a Miller, to be fair. So
yeah,
that's true.
But he doesn't play for us, unfortunately. This week we will be speaking to Victor Johansson. So thank you, everybody at the club. Thanks to Victor for agreeing to do this. We will be speaking to him on Tuesday, which will probably go out Boxing Day. What we want is some questions for him. So if you know any questions, you've got any questions you want to ask him, let us know. And if anybody's listened to the Richard Wood one, there is no question too silly. Any questions you want to ask Victor? There's a good
I've got mine written down already. But you can't guess what it's about.
The other one we will not be asking him, Mick, is if he wanted to punch Gavin Ward, because that's inappropriate to ask if you want to punch a referee.
You're kidding me.
Cross it off.
Joking, man.
So yeah, that's a little Christmas. Hopefully, will be a Christmas treat. Well, again, COVID permitting, it's going to be a really nice Christmas treat for everybody. Something for us to speak to Victor, and when you guys will be able to listen to it. You know, we've all listened to his interviews with the club. I think it's going to be a great man. It's good for asking. So thanks to the club. Thanks, Sam Todd, for facilitating. I'd like to thank you in advance to Victor for agreeing to speak to us three idiots about what he plays for.
I've got to brush up on the Swedish now as well, haven't I?
I don't think I'll expect you to speak Swedish. I think he does speak English.
Right. Oh, that's good. Good.
I mean, he's been in England a very long time as a footballer. You know.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
He's been lurking around the Midlands for the majority of his career, so I'm expecting him to sound a bit like Thomas Shelby, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything's on the table. I'm not going to say but let us know what you're asking. Like I said, we'll ask him anything within reason that you want us to ask him. And yeah, looking forward to it. We'll put some out if you're not on social media as well. So if you've not missed it, reply to the social media posts or email. If you want to email us anything on ufcpod@gmail.com. Anything on there, let us know. And we will put that towards the Viking. Like I said, when we speak to them on Tuesday, we will be back. We are not finished the episode, but we'll be back on Wednesday evening. Just a bit of sort of housekeeping. The next episode will be earlier than normal. It'll be out on the podcast Thursday. We'll be recording live on Wednesday night through YouTube because of Christmas. You're not going to listen to our podcast on Christmas Eve. Yeah, why would you? We certainly have one guest lined up from the Accrington side of things. We're hoping to have a second special guest lined up for Wednesday, which I'm not going to spoil because if it doesn't come off, it's fine, but it's a good one. It'll be our Christmas episode as well. Might even do a few Christmas games, Christmas quizzes and things like that. So if you want to join us on Wednesday night on YouTube, do. If not, wait for the podcast on Thursday morning. Ben might even be with us. I know Ben might be back with us by then. So all you Ben fans out there, I know there's a few of you. He might be back.
He's back from exile in the capital.
He is. He'll be with us.
He's a London boy now, though, isn't he? You know, he's a London boy, so he might even have some sort of stupid accent to go with it. You never know, do you?
No one surprised me.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Saturday just gone. It's the first time this season that the gap has appeared at the top of the table. And what I mean by the top of the table is the top two. There is now a 4-point gap between us and third place Sunderland, having played the same amount of games. Now, again, it's only December. We haven't played half a season yet. But when gaps start to appear, that's a really, really good sign, Danny. A really, really good sign when those type of gaps start to appear.
100%. I mean, it just goes to show like who are in the promotion running, but anything can happen in football. But the thing that caught my eye was that the gap that appeared between first and second, only briefly, but there was a 4-point gap between first and second for about half an hour, again, until Wigan scored it last minute. So if they can stop doing that, that's my wish this Christmas, to stop Wigan scoring in added time. It just goes to show that, the two teams that are the danger teams, because normally, I mean, last time we were in League One, it were a 3 or 4 horse race nearly the whole season until Rotherham and Coventry just started pulling away. But mind you, that were in February, I think, when we started. So it started happening in December. I mean, it's only 4 points, and that could change. Like a couple of bad results for us and 2 good ones for Sunderland, but even with Wigan, we've still maintained that 2-point difference, and they're on an impressive run. They are trying their asses off to catch us. We just keep dawdling along. The only danger is their game in hand, but if that goes our way, then laughing, But I can see Rotherham and Wigan pulling away. Whether or not we reach 10 points difference between us and Wigan, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said on Quest. But I can see there being a gap between the automatics and the playoffs this season, 100%.
Yeah.
The key is to get that gap, isn't it? Like Mike, you said there, Matt, it's 4 points. Is it 4 points between us and Sunderland and third?
Yeah.
You look at those clubs in those playoff positions, and they are all susceptible to a stupid defeat, aren't they?
Especially Sunderland.
Sunderland.
When we played Sunderland, Streaky Lee Johnson, they're on a great run now. They're going to lose 3 in a row soon, aren't they? So
absolutely, yeah. And to be fair, so are Wigan. They've got bad performances in them. We don't seem to have had that at the moment. I accept that sooner or later, like we said, maybe this will drop off, but it doesn't look like it's going to do. Whereas for these other teams, every now and again they'll go through a phase where it looks like it's dropping off. If that makes sense, just from the outside, from their results. Obviously, we're not sort of privy to their performances unless they're playing us. But yeah, I don't know. They don't. None of them, Wigan included, seem to be commanding the division. We do, or we have done up to press.
They're almost seeming to sneak results in. Like take Wigan against Oxford, for example. Like that game went to 2-2, and then Wigan snuck the goal in right at the last minute. The only reason Wednesday are on a 12-game unbeaten run is because they've drawn the vast majority.
11 of them.
Sunderland, they seem to get, like I said, they seem to go on an impressive run and then have a slump. They were in the slump when in fact, I think we caused their slump, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we're right. Yeah.
And even looking at these teams, those teams are some of the best teams of this division. They're not there by mistake, but we've beaten all of them bar 2. Both of which came at the start of the season when we were still finding ourselves. Like you say, Mick, those teams sort of have a silly result in them, whether it's a draw, they've thrown away a win for a draw or a draw for a loss. But with us, we've only had one bad loss this season against a Fleetwood side that just seemed to click, and now they're more or less in the relegation places, if not already. So yeah, the power of League One seems to have swung away from the quote-unquote big clubs this season. Your Portsmouth, your Sunderlands, your Wednesdays, and it's sort of just hanging around Rotherham and Wigan, who have similar sort of attendances throughout the season. So I don't know, it just seems to be clicking for the little ones this season, which is nice to see. And I've just called Wigan a little club. The ground's 20,000 capacity, but anyway.
Yeah, they're not a big club. They're another one FA Cup, but they're still not a big club historically. Anyway,
They're a rugby town historically, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And on paper, we've got a fairly kind Christmas run. Accrington away, all right, it's not easy, but it's a mid-table team. Bolton have dropped like a stone since we played them, really. And Lincoln, you could say, like when we played Lincoln, they were up near playoffs. They were in and around us. They now find themselves down in 19th. So again, we're playing teams. We are going to be playing teams at good times. Whereas Cambridge, I think it was quite a bad time to play them. These next three aren't quite kind times for us to play them, which is obviously set up for us to lose all three. But yeah, the Boxing Day fixtures are pretty kind. We'll cover them next. I mean, everybody up there has got pretty kind fixtures on Boxing Day. Nobody's playing each other other than Portsmouth. Oxford is the biggest two teams up there. But we'll cover that. I said we're back on Wednesday for all that kind of nonsense. I say this every week. It's very exciting to be a Rotherham fan right now, Danny, isn't it? It's brilliant.
100%. It's exciting to be a Rotherham fan. I think the only danger games that we need to look out for are teams that come and press us as much as we press them. And I think, alluding back to the Cambridge game, that's why they are such a danger to play against us, because they're not afraid to sit back and wait for the pressure and try and play around it. They come up and press you back. And I've seen Warney say, potentially alluding to COVID cases in our training camp, but the miles covered wasn't as high. It's probably because we were being pressed as much as they were pressing us. You know, so it was sort of like a cancelling effect. That's me being ambitious, saying we're not going to get COVID this season, like. But that could be one aspect to it. If someone comes and presses you, you're naturally not going to run as far, because if you try and press them and they're already there, that's less distance to cover. But the one thing I do like about this team is that even when we need to get down and dirty and, you know, force out a win, we still manage to do it. You know, like we can win the pretty way like we did against Gillingham and against Sunderland and Portsmouth, but we can also win the way that isn't traditionally how we play this season, at least. You know, the dig in, grind it out. You know, I think the last time we dug in and ground out a result was probably against Burton, actually, a team that was equally as high pressing and wanted to face up to us. And to overcome teams that try and match the way you play and to beat them just by effectively, you know, finding a way, that is sort of thing that promotion and champions do. They find that way to win, no matter how they do it. You could say the same for Wigan, but they seem to do it in like the last 5 minutes. We just find a way to do it in the second half. And then
the way we do it seems much more sustainable than the way Wigan do it.
Yeah,
we've done what Wigan did, and it got us in playoffs in 2014. Evans, we're always late goals. That doesn't normally win you the league. It keeps you up there, but it doesn't normally win you the league that way of playing, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, sustainability. We've got the sustainability in defence to keep the other team out. We just need the front line to do its job, and we're sorted effectively. And that's why we've won 21 in a row.
Yeah.
Unbeaten in 21, not one at all.
Unbeaten in 21. Well, imagine if you win 21 games in a row. Hell.
That is Man City like.
Yeah, you would have won the league by now if you'd won 21 in a row.
Yeah. Go on, mate.
I was going to say, just going on from what Danny said there, you know, the last few games we've ground out results. You know, Saturday, probably in another season, if we weren't the type of team that we are, would have been at least a draw, possibly even a defeat. But we're just grinding those results out. We're putting in the performances and getting those results, even when we're not playing to our level. It is a bit of a worry what Warney said about because they obviously recognise the fitness levels of players, and they will analyse the fitness levels of players throughout games. And he's obviously of the view that some of those levels are below where they should be. So whether there is an issue, who knows?
They've got to attest at the morning of the game, haven't they?
Of course,
I know we're hearing from the news that you can change within hours, which is if you get cold within hours. But if the test in the morning of the day and everything's kept internal, you're not just going to cover's not going to turn on at 3:00 and then turn off. If you're going to have had it in the morning, won't you? Because of the close knit that they've got. it's just been it's not being hypercritical, isn't it? That's all. I think that's all it is.
You've got to be, you know.
And like everybody else nowadays, there's that anxiousness about everything you do as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I think sorry, mate, carry on.
Possibly, I don't know what I'm about to say the same as you were about to say about the Premier League allegedly having an emergency meeting tomorrow about cancelling one of the Christmas fixtures. I mean, it's another story altogether, isn't it? You know, but Premier League have been banging on about winter breaks for years now. So if they can manufacture one now, I'm sure they will. And once the mainstream media have stopped banging on about parties and everything else, they'll start wanting to stop football supporters going to matches, won't they? And they won't give up until that happens. It's happened in Holland already. There's no crowds in Holland. Certain areas in Germany, I've been watching a couple of German games today, and no crowds. You know, so it's starting to happen across Europe. And as soon as the BBC and what have you pick up on that, then they'll be screaming for it to happen to us, and the FA and the EFL will just capitulate, won't they, and allow that to happen. So it's got to be something that's going to be on our radar and on the club's radar, that we may end up either having some fixtures postponed, a break, or no supporters. Just depends how much the media get hold of it, doesn't it, and run with it. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but it's something to bear in mind.
All if buts and maybes, Danny, but which one of those three are taken as right now? So I know we don't get a choice. You can either have the Christmas period or effectively the Christmas period with no fans, or you can have a 2-week break and we'll come back hopefully back to normal mid-January. For
me, having a break in terms of no fixtures played at all just raises more questions of, you know, fixture congestion. So I've said it in the last podcast. It's all right for the Premier League to suggest that because they play less games. Granted, they've got games in Europe, but if it's European wide, you know, it doesn't really matter because they can just squeak it in elsewhere because they have more gaps in the window anyway. You have Premier League managers go on about fixture congestion, but all they have to do is look at a team on a good run in League One or the Championship, you know, in the cup competitions, especially in League One with the extra competition that we play. You know, it can add a lot of fixtures to the list. Like if we were to have a 2-week break, which has been suggested, starting on December 27th, that's 2 home games and 2 cup games postponed.
Yeah.
So that's 3 competitions where we have to find a different date for it. So for me, it'd probably be, if you've already bought your tickets, you can have your money back. Keep testing within the camp and probably only postpone fixtures if you drop below the EFL 14 players, including a goalkeeper threshold, which has already impacted the Premier League because Chelsea asked to have their game postponed, but the Premier League said no because they didn't drop into that threshold. So that's the first time the Premier League's pushed back against a club wanting to postpone a game. So it looks like it's heading more towards, if we have to, not letting fans in. But we've got iFollow, it's fine. We don't have to worry about that. We can still pay for our watching of the game, can't we? But no, for me, I wouldn't do a break. I'd just keep testing, make sure everyone's all right, keep doing the COVID protocols to the best of our ability, make sure the players don't do anything silly, which is what we're doing about looks at it because we've cancelled the Christmas do. So that's good, in my opinion, stops everyone doing something silly. And just play it by ear. You know, it might just be we descend into the realm of just if you're double jabbed, then you can get in. If you're not, then you have to provide a negative test. But I'd say a break. Sorry for mum's coughing. We've both had cold this week. It isn't COVID because we've tested ourselves every day this week and we are both negative. So before anyone says anything, we're all right. But yeah, that's the thing as well. It could be that the players have got a bit of flu. You know, but because of the symptoms and how it makes you feel, our mind immediately go to COVID, which unfortunately is the way of the world at the minute. And because of Omicron's increase, that's why. So we can live in hope that it isn't COVID. It might just be flu, like with in this house. But yeah, for me, a break shouldn't be on the cards because purely fixture congestion. Because it'd be worse for players to catch COVID and then come back and then play Saturday, Tuesday for 6 weeks. Than it would be to just keep playing if you've got the numbers and then only postpone maybe 1 or 2 if your camp does have COVID in it.
Yeah. Or you can catch it again like we did last year. That's the last worst case scenario. You have a 2-week break, and then you come back and any team gets an outbreak because then you're stuffed again. You already have other clubs in this league who've had to postpone games prior to this.
Well, what we need is Boris to have another Christmas party so that it gets press off the subject of football and onto something else to moan about, don't it? You know what I mean? If we can have something like that, just to take the heat off sport and football in general, and let sport and football in general govern itself, which I accept. I can't believe I'm saying, bearing in mind the way it has been governed. But what we do know is that at least they will play. And good on the FA or the Premier League or whoever it is who've said to Chelsea, no, you can't. You know, they must have 4,000 eligible players. You know what I mean? The number of people that they've got out on loan, the number of squads that they've got, whether at junior level, under 23 level, and everything else. You know, at 30 or probably 30 players per squad. You know, they've got enough eligible players to put out a team. So suck it up. And that should apply to all the Premier League sides as far as I can see. They've got big enough squads to deal with this. But anyway, that's how it is. It just worries me a little bit that more than anything else that I could see this issue coming over across Europe now of banning fans from stadiums. That's a worry. And it's a worry, like I say, if the media get hold of it, because they'll be all over it like a rash.
For me though, Europe always seem a lot quicker to ban fans from stadiums. Though I don't know if it's a culture thing, but maybe not in France, but in terms of the other European countries, they seem a lot more willing to follow what the government say. But in France, they just tend to riot about everything. That's not that's not a joke. They do. And then in this country, we just don't listen. You know, because we're the British, we won't be told what to do. But yeah, I don't know. I think they've talked about bringing in restrictions before Christmas, and not to get political, but if that gets brought in, it's political suicide for the Conservatives. I mean, even if they bring in a lockdown after Christmas, that's still a very big political impact that it's going to have. But then you have to go, public health's more important, so just do what is the right thing. And if that is fans not going to the grounds, then unfortunately, tough. You know, you'll have to watch it on your telly.
Be interesting to see what sort of effect, negative or positive, that has on our run that we're on at the moment.
Yeah,
because
we need to keep the circuit, everything the same. You know, we need to keep everything as it is from a selfish Rotherham United point of view, don't we? Yeah.
I mean, we talked to Woody, and he talked about the difference in having fans in stadiums to the debacle that we had last year with. You know, just all we had with Tony Stewart shouting, "Come on, Rotherham!" That were it. That's as much as we had, weren't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. and great, fair play to Tony, but just him on his own is not going to work, is it?
No. Cheryl Stone mentioned on the COVID stuff, on the vaccinations, the club they seem to have around 85%, over 85%, I think, first team are vaccinated, whereas the EFL average, I think 25% of the entire EFL don't plan on getting vaccinated. So for us, for the club, we are well above the average, which is good to see. But we're protecting the players. It's crap.
Absolutely, yeah.
But whatever it's affecting us, certainly in this podcast, whatever affects Rotherham United, we'll talk about. And unfortunately,
exactly. We won't be going anywhere if there's a COVID outbreak. We'll still be here chatting rubbish for an hour about Rotherham. It's what we do and we enjoy it.
Exactly right. I'd like only just in the Barlaser call back to the football. I'll tell you what, he needed a cool head and a great strike. 100%. A very, very cool head and a really nice strike. Sums up very, very well. I think we're about done. Anything else that we need to cover or talk about from the Rotherham United sphere?
I think
other than Woody effectively has signed his new deal, it's all just formalities at this point. He wants to be here, and he's claimed that we are his club.
Yes.
Yeah.
The stolen one, finally, get in.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that gets announced soon, and we can celebrate it. Because I thought he got injured on Saturday. You know, when that money went down, I thought, oh no. Because you worry about, not to go on about his age all the time, but you worry about somebody that age if he picks up, he looked like he twisted his knee. So as a football fan, you're always going, oh no, he's done his ACL or something like that. Oh no, but then literally like 3 minutes later, he's running around like he normally does.
Heading bricks and stuff.
I had someone say next to me, oh, that's his season done. And as soon as he said it, he jumped back up and carried on. It's like, oh, wait,
he must have heard it.
I'm not getting injured before my annual contract. Off, right, we're off again.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
He'll be laid up at home now, not being able to walk, but it will worth it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you all for watching or listening, for watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes, on Spotify, whatever we do. Thank you very much for being with us. I'll repeat again for anybody who's listening now. Victor Johansson will be on our show. Well, we will be speaking to him on Tuesday, which will go out Boxing Day morning. So on your travels to Accrington, you'll be able to listen to Victor Johansson. If you've got any questions you want to put to us, either reply to us on Twitter from the post you'll see, or Facebook. And if you want to email something, ifcpod@gmail.com. If you've got anything that you think we need to ask the Viking, we will put it to the man himself when we do speak to him. And like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday. Your next episode will be out on Wednesday evening on YouTube, Thursday morning on iTunes and Spotify, which will be our official Christmas special. We'll probably do an extended episode with some Christmas games and some nonsense. Because why not? You know what I mean? Got nothing else to do. All Christmas parties are cancelled, so you're not know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Two special guests.
Potentially two special guests.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
I reckon we should have a conservative party and have a cheese board and port for our Christmas party. Because it sounds thrilling, a cheese board and port, doesn't it?
Oh, God.
No. And then keep an eye on the Christmas period because we've got so many games. Who knows when we're doing episodes, but we'll get it out when we can. Philip Robinson, Merry Christmas. And to you, Phil. We will see you all on Wednesday when we will already spoke to Victor, all being well, and we'll let you know how that went. And we might even drop a snippet in if you're lucky. Thank you, Danny. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you, Danny. I'll see you Tuesday. We'll see everybody else Wednesday. Yes,
100%. See you Tuesday. And one last message to anybody watching or listening. Go and get your boosters because we've nearly hit 1 million a day with boosters. And I tell you what, it's a doddle. I got jabbed by a soldier up at Oak House near Morrison's in Bramley, and it were a doddle. So,
did you go for your booster after that, or?
Yeah. I went to McDonald's first.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a doddle, and you're not just protecting yourself; you're protecting a lot of people around you as well. This isn't a plugged thing or anything. Just I'm telling you, get your boosters because that's how we fight back against Omicron, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're eligible, get it booked in. Go to a walk-in centre, get your booster. Job's good.
There you go.
The phrase "I got jabbed by a soldier" was not one I anticipated hearing today. I'll be honest.
But help if I said it were a female soldier, mate.
Well, whatever. That's not really relevant. It's just anyway.
Yeah. I'm jabbed, Mick's jabbed. We're still here for now.
I haven't been jabbed by a soldier yet.
No, me neither.
It's off. It ticks it off my bucket list, so it's fine.
Bro, Mick, I'll see you Tuesday.
You will.
And see everybody else Wednesday. Freddy's on one-on-one. Freddy shoot. Can Freddy go shot? Unbelievable! Apologies to the neighbours.